Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Vulcan7 Podcast, where we bring you some of the best agents and coaches in the industry, and they share with you their tips and strategies so that you can implement them in your business immediately. With that being said, if you haven't caught up on the previous episodes, make sure that you do so. You can watch them on YouTube or you can listen to them on any of your favorite streaming platforms. Now, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a topic that you are probably very familiar with, and that is prospecting. But we're going to be chatting with an agent who's going to be sharing with us how the strategy has gone, how it started, where it's going. And then I'm also going to ask him about something really cool he's doing on social media that I think you're going to like, and hopefully you're going to be inspired to do or even tune in. So, with that being said, Chuck Coit, welcome.
Hi, Loida. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So for everyone that's tuning in, go ahead and just share with us a little bit about your background, maybe how long you've been an agent. That way we can get to know you a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah, I've been in real estate full time for this is my 16th year, and so I have a lot of referral business that I enjoy. As a matter of fact, I'm working with a client this week. Hope they're coming back from a cruise, but they want to sell their house. I've sold them, I don't know, 4 or 5 different houses. So it's nice having that type of client, to work with.
Awesome. Something that I love to ask all of my guests is, what did you do before real estate? Because I feel like everyone has a different story. They had a previous career. And how did you fall into this business?
Well, my mom was like, Chuck, you should go into real estate. And that was a long, long, long time ago, because we have a family friend in the town that I live in who's been successful for twice as long as I've been in real estate. And he's a great guy, but I didn't do that. I didn't listen to my mom's advice, unfortunately, at that time. But I was in, so I was a firefighter, EMT, and I had an opportunity to start a business in the pharmaceutical industry. So I left the fire department, started this business, and it was a great business. It was a compounding pharmacy, completely unrelated to real estate. So anyway, we grew the pharmacy for about 7 years, and then ended up selling it to one of our biggest competitors. And then my wife and I were sitting around for a year or so trying to figure out what was the next chapter. And a friend of mine came up to me who was a manager for a national builder. And he said, hey, why don't you come and work for me? Because I had built a sales team and trained a sales team at the pharmacy. And so I was like, yeah, that will make my mom happy. So so I did that. I got into new construction, lasted in new construction for about, right around a year. Didn't really care for, model minding. And so wanted to be out doing more and having a little bit more freedom in general real estate. So that's where I've been. So that's kind of a little bit of my background.
That's awesome. So, do you feel that your experience in sales when you worked at the pharmaceutical and you building the team, do you think that helped you when you came into the real estate industry? Was it what you thought? Was it very different? Anything that you could relate?
It was completely different, but from a business standpoint, being an entrepreneur, and bootstrapping a startup from day one to building it to 4 or 5 million in sales with not, we didn't have very expensive product that we were selling. Our prescriptions, were like $200 and $300 a piece. So we were doing high volume license throughout the country, all of that kind of thing. But didn't, there were parts of it that related to being in the real estate industry and business, marketing, prospecting, B2B type sales. So that was a good crossover for me.
So you did the new construction for about a year or so. And then what did you transition to after? What did that prospecting or what type of leads or how did you start to generate business?
I really just started into prospecting for sale by owners. Honestly, I left the builder and went to Keller Williams and was trained there by a bunch of great people. And they're very, very big on making your phone calls and holding people accountable, and that's what I needed at the time. But I just got into a rhythm with for sale by owners that I've just been able to continue to develop. And then I came into understanding dialers and how that worked, and the Vulcan7 program, your whole program is it's just perfect. I do a single line dialer. I get for sale by owner and expired listings, and that's what I'm calling.
So the for sale by owners was and is probably your top favorite, right? Lead to go
It is,
after
yeah.
lead source.
Yeah.
So currently, what does your prospecting look like on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I don't do it every day, just because my day drags me in different directions sometimes. But on the days that I have set out for prospecting, I will usually start in the afternoon. I prefer the afternoon session to the morning session, and you'll find that there's a lot of people out there who prefer mornings, but I just prefer the afternoon session. I think people are a little bit more willing to talk, or at least willing to answer the phone, and so yeah, that's what I do.
When you mention afternoon, is there a specific time frame? Is it like after 4 o'clock, or is it in just like early afternoon?
In that like 3 to 5, in that 3 to 5 time frame. If you
Yeah.
can catch someone, people are willing to, get on the phone towards the end of the day. I think at the beginning of the day, you see more people more focused in on what their job is, and their availability seems to be a little bit better towards the end of the day. So catch
Yeah.
people on their way home, talking to them. It tends to work pretty well.
Awesome.
I can usually set, 2 or 3 or 4 appointments out of a session of calling, maybe 40 contacts
Mhm.
at
That's
40
awesome.
contacts in a session.
Yeah. And
So I
I'm
don't
glad that
do
you
these. I don't
yeah.
do the monster sessions of just hours of calling like that, because I'm a single agent. I'm not really looking to grow a team or be the rainmaker for
Mhm.
so I kind of look at these leads are really a commodity to me. And so I don't need to like blast through my whole list,
Yeah.
in one day. That's not. I like to just break it out into small segments and do it that way.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought up for sale by owners because I think that lead source is one that a lot of agents are afraid of, whether it's calling them or just fear of rejection. So for you, when you first started calling for sale by owners, was this a lead source that you were told, hey, these are the lowest hanging fruit for listings, make sure to talk to them? And what was that like in terms of like your mindset to make sure that I don't know, you prepared yourself for the objections and actually going to set appointments?
Well, to me, for sale by owners, these are people. I think ultimately they're trying to sell it on their own because they want to save money, and
Mm.
that's it. And as a human being, I get that. I mean, I understand that. So my philosophy when I'm making these calls and talking to people has always been, I'm not trying to slam dunk you into a listing over the phone. I'm just, that's not what I'm doing. My tactic in my strategy is really relational. So I want to build a relationship, because I know in my head that 80% of for sale by owners at some point are going to hire an agent. And so, I kind of look at it as like, as you're walking through the mall and you have all the kiosks out there, and there are folks selling whatever it is that they're selling out there, and they approach you, people don't generally like to be approached like that. So I don't like to come on super strong to people. So I'm like I said, I'm more relational. It's a relationship. Hey, and that takes follow-up at that point. So follow-up is huge. But yeah, that's that's my strategy and my approach.
I would love to do a short role play if you're open to it, where maybe I'm the seller and you're the agent, and we could do just a for sale by owner so agents can kind of hear.
Sure.
Okay. Okay,
Sure.
let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Loida. This is Chuck. I'm calling with Charles Ruttenberg Realty. Listen, I know your phone is ringing off the hook, but I'm calling because I saw your home is for sale by owner. And I want to be clear up front. I'm not calling you to try and pressure you into a listing. Quick question though. I wonder, are you selling on your own because you want full control, or because you don't trust agents? Did you have a bad experience? What's the reason you're selling for sale by owner?
Well, pretty much, I did sell a home about 6 years ago, and I was able to sell it very quickly. And at the end of the day, I do want to walk away with the most money and save myself on hiring an agent.
Gotcha. Yeah, completely understand that. And let me ask you this: how long has your house been on the market?
We just posted it on Zillow about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. And how has your activity been?
Well, you know what? I'm just getting a lot of calls from agents. I also have gotten a few investors, but they give me like really low offers that I'm just not interested in any of those. And that's just kind of how it's been. But I'm going to be doing another open house this weekend. I've been doing some open houses and trying to get people to hopefully buy it.
Well, good. And so, look, can I ask you, how are you going to vet your buyers? How do you know that they're qualified buyers?
Um, I figured, they'll give me a letter.
Okay, from a lender.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Well, let me ask you this, Loida. How long do you think you're going to try and sell the house on your own? If you go, what's your time frame for selling?
Well, this house right now, it was an investment property. The tenants just moved out about a month ago. I just want to cash out. But again, I'm not going to give my house away. So as soon as I get an offer, if I get a good offer, I'm ready to sell it now.
Did you know, Loida, that utilizing an agent typically will net you between 10 and 15% more than selling for sale by owner, which more than compensates for the commission that would have to be paid? You would still come out making more money without having to do
Really?
any of the work.
But how would that even be possible?
Because the way that we market and the way that we know how to negotiate, and so we are just in a position to reach a lot more people and a lot more offers. Also, we have better pricing strategies. We understand what's happening with the market. We understand what's happening with the economy, and so there's a lot of pluses to using an agent. And you don't have to answer the phone call. You don't have to go meet a complete and total stranger in in an empty home. So there's a lot of really good reasons to use an agent.
Mm, okay. Um, well, do you have a buyer?
I don't. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have a buyer right now, Loida. But what I would like to do, I do work with a lot of buyers. I get calls every day from buyers looking in different areas for different types of homes. Let me ask you this. You said you were going to be doing an open house. Is that this weekend?
Yes. Yeah. Saturday and Sunday, all day.
Saturday and Sunday? Okay, super. Will you be there?
Yes. Yeah. I'll be here.
Okay. Well, would it be okay for me to swing by and just introduce myself to you and bring you a little bit of information that is my gift to you? It's just a market analysis that will give you a ton of information on strategy and kind of what's happening in your community. And then if the time ever comes where you just get too busy or you just get too frustrated and you don't want to continue trying to sell it on your own, maybe I can throw my hat in the ring as someone who you might hire.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'll be here Saturday, Sunday from like 9 to 3 p.m.
9 to 3. How about I swing by? Maybe expect me around 10 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
On Saturday.
Okay. Yeah. I'll be here with coffee.
With coffee. All right. I'm definitely coming then. I'll bring my cup.
Yes.
Thank you, Lloyd. I appreciate your time. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. See you Saturday.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Okay. Awesome. I really appreciate you doing that. Sometimes I put the guests on the spot and it's like, okay, what is Lloyd going to say?
Yeah, no problem at all. Enjoy doing that. And, again, my strategy is not to really put high pressure on there. It's really more relational because I'm going to rely on that statistic of 80% of sellers at some point are going to hire an agent when they surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's where I want to be. I want to come in and after that, and and if they're able to sell it on their own, God bless them.
Yeah.
Good for you. You saved a little money. Hopefully you won't get sued, but hopefully you cross your T's and dot your I's. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. And for anyone that's listening, that's maybe wondering, well, Chuck, how often do you end up following up with these for sale by owners? If let's say they're not doing open houses or anything like that, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, I'll follow up probably on a weekly basis. So what I'll do is I'll go through as I'm making the calls, I will end up printing out the lead. And as a matter of fact, I have one around here somewhere, but I'll print the lead out right off of the Vulcan database. And that's my notes for, and then I'll jot down whatever notes that I need to take on there and when to follow up and, what the person's first name is and if they have a dog and, kind of the highlights of what our conversation was. And I keep those notes on there and then I'll refer back to those notes when I do the follow-up. And sometimes it takes multiple follow-ups and trying to overcome multiple objections. So a quick story for you. It's been probably 3 weeks now, maybe a little bit longer. I was on a phone session. I reached a for sale by owner. She answered the call and she had a very strong European accent. And she was like dead set on, no, I'm trying to sell my house. I want to sell my house. I've done it before. And so I kept overcoming all of the objections that she kept throwing at me. And I kept her engaged in the conversation instead of just, like in the early days of me prospecting, I would surrender really, really easily. It's like, no, I'm really wanting to just sell the house on my own. Okay, well, thanks for taking my call. And I would hang, but I kept pressing in, not too hard, but
Mhm.
just keeping her engaged in the conversation and just trying to find out, what was going on. Well, that one lead ended up in that was over an hour long conversation I had with this lady, but it ends up that she has she's much older. She has I want to say between 20, I think it's 20 to 30 condominiums. She's a landlord that she wants to sell. So I now have the listing for the house that she wanted to sell that I originally called on, which was a single family home. And I'm getting ready to list a second condo. And then I'm packaging up 17 other condos to sell and present to an investor buyer. So if there are any investor buyers out there and you're looking in the Tampa area, I'm going to have 17 condos for sale
Wow.
here very, very soon. I'm just trying to get all the numbers together so I can package it up correctly. But that's what's out there in this in these databases. That's who these people are. You just never know who you're going to get, who you're going to talk to, who what position they're in.
Mhm.
But if I was a pushy salesman-y kind of a guy, she would have hung the phone up or the conversation would have ended quickly. But because I was kind and I was just kind of just prompting her along and not letting her shut me down, it led to this whole thing. And now I have, a whole entire file. And, I've only got just a portion of her listings done, at this point. So it was a great opportunity, great call. And I wouldn't have had it without Vulcan7.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And I'm so glad that you brought up that story. I have an agent friend. She's out in California and San Diego. And I remember when she was a brand new agent, I was mentoring her on going after for sale by owners. And she ended up getting someone exact same situation, just like you, where the owner was an elderly lady. She had 11 properties. And this agent, her name is Anna. I think at this point, she has already sold 10 of them. And if it
Yeah.
wasn't for her picking up the phone and getting out of the comfort zone,
Yeah.
like, you would never come across these people. So,
Yeah.
hopefully for anyone that's listening to this will motivate you to pick up the phone and call for sale by owners, because imagine if you have just a handful of these homeowners that have multiple properties. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, and then they're probably gonna refer you more people, and it's just
Absolutely.
business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally like digging for gold. I mean,
Mhm.
this prospecting thing is, it's really like digging for gold. You never know what you're going to get.
Exactly. Yes, yes. And before we started, you were mentioning to me that you also do some stuff on social media. So I want you to share with the audience what it is that you're doing, because I think it's really cool. Not a lot of people have the guts to do this. So go ahead and tell us. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, I don't know if it takes a whole lot of guts, but yeah, I'm just trying to, like everybody, the real estate market is changing. Building your own personal brand is super, super important now. So social media is the least expensive way to reach the most people. So I have a Facebook business page, but I'm mostly on Instagram and TikTok. And I have been doing some TikTok live sessions on doing uh, prospecting sessions. Sorry. So I've been doing TikTok live prospecting, and without exposing people's names and trying to keep as much privacy on for the clientele for as possible, but letting people kind of hear how the conversations go. Then you say, well, Chuck, who is your audience? My audience isn't necessarily other agents. My audience is really buyers and sellers, but at least, the people who follow me or buyers and sellers can see, that I'm actively out there prospecting for business, not afraid or ashamed to be prospecting for business like this. And it's kind of fun. So I have, maybe 40, maybe 50 people that jump on and watch at a time, which is a lot more than I ever thought I would, and I've only done it a few times. But it's been pretty cool experience. So it's just another way to build more followers and get and just grow your social media.
Yeah. And I'm sure if you ever did have any clients that would ask you, Chuck, do you prospect? Do you actually do it? You could probably send them a link to one of your videos or your live streams and be like, yes, you can tune in and watch me if you want.
That's right. Tune in and watch. Yeah, I haven't gotten it down to where I'm doing it like every day. So, at like 4:30, I'm going live, every,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you follow me on TikTok, and don't even ask me what my TikTok handle is. I can't even remember what it is. Yeah, it's, I don't know, Chuck Coit Realtor, I think is what it is. Yeah, you'll see, you'll see it come up.
Yes. Yeah. Just search Chuck Coit on TikTok.
That's right.
And you'll see Chuck on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. No, this is awesome, Chuck. As we're ready to wrap up this awesome episode, really appreciate you sharing all of your tips and advice when it comes to for sale by owners.
Absolutely.
If there are any maybe newer agents or agents that want to tap into FSBOs, what would you say are 3 tips that you would give them to maybe get out of their head and get out of their own way and just, prospect these?
Well, and yeah, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's been a tough market this last year. At least it has been for me. And I'm 16 years in the business full time. So I have a lot of referral business that I lean on. And majority of my business is referral business anymore. So in the early days, I did have to build my business and build a foundation somehow, some way. And how else are you going to do it other than prospecting? So, you're just not going to, you're not going to have a whole lot of business unless you're prospecting, unless you're big on social media. Honestly, social media, I get some business from it, but it's not enough to really, tout. It's not a whole lot of business. I know there's a lot of agents that do a lot of business off of social media. Me, not so much, but I do try, and I do try and grow that. But really, if you're wanting to get some business and get up and running as fast as possible, you've got to get on the phones. You've got to make the calls. And you've got to carve out some time each and every day, especially new agents, because what else are you doing? What else you got to do?
Yeah.
Get on the phone and make calls. And the best way to make these calls, honestly, is with Vulcan. The leads have always been good. They've just gotten better and better over the years. The technology with the dialer, I mean, you can run 2-3 line dialers, however much you want to do it. I do a single line dialer with the for sale by owners, and it's fine, because like I said, I'm a single agent. I'm not trying to grow a team. I'm just trying to keep I don't want to work that hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so I just keep it in that lane right there.
Awesome. Now, remind everyone where it is that you're located in case they have referrals that they want to send your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm born and raised in Clearwater, Florida. I live here in the area, and so I'm in the Tampa area. So if you have any West Central Florida referrals, I'd be happy to take care of them for you.
Awesome. And a phone number or a website, or what would be the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me is going to be just through phone, 727-641-4819. and I'm in the middle of redoing my website. So my website is down right now, but you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, Chuck Coit Realtor. And yeah, reach out. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help anybody who needs some help, and whatever I can do.
Awesome. Well, Chuck, thank you once again for coming on the podcast. It was a great time role playing. Like, I know I put you on the spot, but really appreciate you and everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Loida. And I was not expecting I wasn't expecting the role play. So you got me good.
Yes.
I'm glad I didn't show.
Thanks again, Chuck. All right. And everyone, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.